Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
I've often told you what happens when this cat's away. I'm tagging roosterfish in Costa Rica, on the hunt for sailfish and marlin with my friends from Great Fish Tag Research for 5 days last week. Look, I have nothing to complain about. I'm truly blessed, but all things considered, I would have rather been right here at the Jersey Shore over the weekend. I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It's April 28th, 2022. A lot of wind here this week greeting me upon my return, but also a lot of messages from folks who found the local action has turned on since our video forecast last Thursday at this time. Big stripers on the Raritan and Delaware, new jumbos arriving just about every day along the open beaches, reports of 20-pound tog, that's right, and booming drum and a bluefish invasion is underway. Yes, they've arrived. A rundown on the latest reports in just a couple of minutes, but first let's look at what's arriving in your mailbox this week as a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. The May edition, New Jersey Delaware Bay, it went to print on Sunday while I was working remotely on a 2-hour difference in time from Capos on the Pacific coast in order to get this one all buttoned up, just in time for the fluke and sea bass opener in the next couple of weeks. But you can look for my teammate here, Matt Broderick. He's on the cover of the May edition of the Fisherman magazine. Look at those legs. Let him know what you think about those legs. I'll tell you what, we've got, the reason he's on a kayak, of course, is we've got the kayak buyer's guide. We're talking about the coastal kayak clash, and we've got a whole slew of stories in here of summer flounder related features to get you going. If you're not a subscriber, it's $29.95. If you don't spend that money, you can't compete in the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. And that is a big tournament. Only paid subscribers can register their fluke, sea bass, porgies, sea robins, jumbo bluefish, tog, and weakfish. You stay on the board. At the end of the season, you win a prize. If you have more big fish than anybody else, then you win an even bigger prize. A Steiger 23 Miami powered by a Yamaha 300. It's pretty much that easy. Second place, by the way, is a trip to Marina Pez Vela, the resort in Capos, Costa Rica on the Pacific coast, where I just was last week, and I highly recommend competing for that prize. Not a bad second prize. I mentioned that Coastal Kayak Clash because both the Dreamboat and the Coastal Kayak Clash also kick off together on May 1st. Big change in 2022 on the Coastal Kayak Clash. Striped bass. Length for those catch and release jumbos in play for your chance to win a Hobie Mirage Outback for one of these amazing prizes in that tournament. Now, a lot of New Jersey anglers the last couple of years said, why don't you add striped bass? Well, bang, there you go. So there's a benefit to subscribing. If you're not yet a subscriber, what the heck do I have to do to put you in a brand new boat? $29.95, you can get all the details by picking up that May edition. It is a heavy edition full of great features. Pick it up, you'll enjoy it. You can get your subscription information here and find out about those two tournaments. One more thing about this May edition when you get it, really fast. Page 54, under the recreational fishing regulations, you'll notice the black drum regs are wrong in this book. Mea culpa, my friends, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. That's what happens when you think you can get your homework done on the bus driving through a rainforest. The updated black sea bass regulations for 2022 were inadvertently pasted over black drum. So black drum is 3 fish at a 16-inch minimum. Nothing has changed. And we're getting into that time of year. I would expect we start booking all those charters in Cape May in just another week. And of course, you know what the black sea bass regulations are. They're correct in the book, as are the porgy and sea bass. These are the finalized regulations, but they're not official yet. What do I mean by that? Well, I'm relatively certain that our fluke season in New Jersey is going to start on Monday with a 3-fish bag, 2 of those fish from 17 to 17.99 inches, 1 at 18 inches above. And of course, then the black sea bass regulations and the increase in porgy size. But I'll tell you what, it's not official yet until Smilin' Phil and his environmental diversity czar can actually get off of their butts and sign on the dotted line. It's still kind of hazy where we are in terms of official regulations. Come and let me tell you about my best friend. Hey, it's the same thing in Delaware too, because those regulations at press time right now are not official. We're still waiting for official word in Delaware, but my understanding is that the summer flounder size limit is expected to drop a ½ inch to 16 inches with a 4-fish bag limit for you Delawareans. Black sea bass is expected to be a 15-fish bag with a 13-inch size limit and an open season from May 15th to December 11th. That's what we're expecting once these states and the bureaucrats finalize everything. One more bit of regulatory house cleaning before we get into this week's reports. The size limit on porgy was recently increased coastwide by 1 inch. That was done by the Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council and the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission. However, NOAA Fisheries doesn't like it. They looked at this and said, no, it's not enough of a cutback. So basically what they're doing is saying, look, if you don't get your act together, we're going to shut down federal waters to porgy. I kid you not. For more on that, let's talk to my friend Captain Greg DeBrule from Black Hawk Fishing Charters in Connecticut, who's got more.
I'm here to talk to you about the proposal from NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. This is the government agency that sets all the rules, the regulations, the quotas, and everything for all of us, okay? Recreational and party and charter boats. NOAA is trying to close porgy fishing in federal waters, and that's certainly going to affect everyone that fishes, because it's just outside of 3 miles is federal waters. So if you want to go sea bass fishing and you've got a couple of porgies in your boat, you're violating the law. Now, it's a ridiculous proposal because the porgies, by their own admission, are over 2 times where they want them to be. Okay, so it's a very healthy population of porgies around, and we only catch 6% of that in federal waters, with the majority of that 6% coming from recreational anglers like you. So please, there's going to be a link at the end of this short video. Please go on the link and give your comments to NOAA. It's only open, I think, until May 3rd or May 4th, so don't hesitate. But, state your comments of why we should keep porgy fishing open in federal waters. It just creates a plethora of problems, okay, for everybody, all concerned, okay? Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate your cooperation, and have yourself a great season, folks.
You'll find that link that the skipper was talking about. It's embedded in the description, the comment section below here on the YouTube page. Click on that, send in your comments. We really need to get involved in this, and I guess the only option at this point is really to call your congressman. Maybe Phil Murphy will get involved, or call our 2 U.S. senators in New Jersey, Booker and Menendez. I highly recommend, if you're interested in getting this porgy situation squared away, it's going to take congressional intervention. So hopefully Congressman Pallone and some of the other folks who have been so instrumental in helping with our fisheries, Congressman Van Drew down in Cape May County as well. But it's going to take some type of intervention to keep this fiasco in place. Again, a reminder that blackfish season remains open in the Garden State through Saturday for fish at 15 inches, and then it will reopen again on August 1st. But would you look at what Fishin' Fever's Captain Tom Daffin dragged in to Jim's Bait and Tackle over the weekend. Now, Daffin, of course, already has a pair of state records on his boat, Fishin' Fever. This fish, this 20-pounder, truly something to behold, caught over the weekend. Difficult to hold as well, I guess, relatively speaking. We also heard from the folks at Lewis Harbor Marina. They had a jumbo brought in this weekend. Titanic tog for William Lindsay. This was 19 pounds on Deliverance with Captain Mike Rivera. This fish measured 30.5 inches in length, had a 26-inch girth. Delaware togging, by the way, unlike New Jersey, that will continue through May 15th. Now, if you have to stay tied up in the next couple of days after this report because of the wind or whatnot, you still have opportunities to score from shore. Rexel Miller let me know he just snared a pair while fishing on terra firma, an 18-incher and a 16-incher. So that's a great escape from the gnarly weather on the inshore grounds if you can't get out in the next couple of days. Some of the jetties, sod banks, certainly walking distance along the rail on some of these jetties, a canal I know of, you can score a couple of blackfish before the closure. The other big news on top of a 20-pound tog in the Garden State is the arrival of bluefish, right on time, just as we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. I've had a smattering of reports throughout the New Jersey region, but this one is probably the best so far from Manasquan River someplace. The folks at Hook House Bait and Tackle in Toms River shared this photo of Pat Murphy. So if you're looking for a tussle, grab those old plugs, the tins, the metals, the Hopkins, bucktails, anything shiny with a hook in it. I haven't heard much in terms of that wall-to-wall, shoulder-to-shoulder bluefish bonanza in any of the inlets, but if they're inside Manasquan River, they had to come through the inlet at some point. Perhaps as some of these bluefish start corralling bait, funneling them into the inlets at Shark River, Manasquan, Barnegat, Absecon, Townsend. Just be on the lookout, and certainly worth the cast if you're looking to do some damage to some of that tackle of yours by going after these bluefish. Striped bass, forget about it. Off the hook. From the Delaware and Raritan, as we've spoken about since March, and also out along the front beaches. Some monsters in the surf at Brigantine, LBI, and up into Seaside as well. Bloods, clams, bunker chunks, in fact, even hunks of shad. I kid you not. Kevin Ingram messaged me over the weekend after ending the day with 40 shad on the Delaware, the largest going 4.9 pounds, and his buddy Ricky used one of those shad cut up for a pretty impressive striper. We will talk more, nothing but bass and drum in 2 minutes, but first, here's word on a shad that was worth $20,000 last week on the Delaware River. For more on that, here's my friend George, the Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the bi-state shad fishing contest has finally come to a close. That long-awaited tournament all year netted some great fish. Even though it had a rough start, the last 2 days came out really good. And the winner taking home the grand prize was Bill Gordon. Bill checked in a 5.55-pound shad, and that took the winning $20,000 prize in the tournament. For a full list of the results, please go to shadfishingcontest.com, and you can get all the results for all the prizes there as well. Special thank you to Eric Fisser for putting on a great tournament. We look forward to that again next year. Now, not only is the shad biting on the river, and that bite continues on, we're going to have another month of great fishing there for the shad. But right behind that, and we've been talking, guys, is that striper run. So please keep an eye on that, especially down in the tidal areas. Things are doing really good. I checked in with Anthony Bottoms at Sport Master Bait and Tackle Shop, and he was down fishing in the Tacony area, and he managed to get himself into a couple really nice striper. He got himself a 27-inch, a 38, and a 42-inch striper on those bloods. They continue to produce, continue to be some of the best baits you can get for those river stripers. Now, Anthony got it on one of his bait runner rigs, so that's one of his own custom rigs that he makes up. But great catch there, Anthony, and I hope you guys can get out and hit some of that river fishing too if you're not there catching some of the shad. Now, we still have that strong trout bite, guys. Lots of people. I was down on Mincy Lake the other day, and I was checking things out there and seeing lots of guys coming back with some really nice trout. But I checked in with Mike Renner. He was up in the Bethlehem area, and he managed to get into the 7-pound rainbow trout. Actually, it was a little over 7 pounds, and he got it on a pin minnow. So there's plenty of great fishing. Some good fish there in these ponds and lakes, and even some of these creeks. I hope you guys get a chance to get out and do some fishing this weekend. Should be nice. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
Quickly on the Sweetwater side of things in South Jersey, Ed Guth sent this along to me. Let me know about the 40th annual Bob Buznardo Kids Fishing Derby in Bridgeton this Sunday, May 1st. You can register your kids in this event on Sunday morning out there at Mary Elmer Lake. That's in Cumberland County. Striped bass, Qua Win shared this video. He's from the Tide Chasers podcast, a 2-hour session of topwater striper action on the Navesink. You can see that bass following that spook. Sometimes you don't see that follower, but often he's there. It reminds us always, keep plugging, keep plugging. Tossing the artificials often requires that commitment and a leap of faith, but it's worth it. Steve Urbano plugged up a 24-pounder on Sunday, his best of the spring so far. He said, I don't have commitment on that location, but I'm assuming along the northern stretch somewhere, that Raritan bite continues to impress by boat and by shore. On the other coast of New Jersey, the west coast, along the Delaware River, Mandel Mobley tells me that striper action in the upper stretches of the Delaware is still on fire. He caught 17 fish in a 3-day stretch. All, he said, were spawned out. So hopefully we can expect the coastal run to be really good, really good in May and June as those spawned out stripers drop out of the river. I hope they stay in along the coast for you guys in Cape May County especially. Hug that coast and join the migration up along the northeast. Now, our thumbnail image of the week belongs to Patrick Milligan, who caught and released this 47-incher in the Delaware River in South Jersey this week, I believe, using bloodworms. But I'll tell you what, if you're looking for a combo platter, bass and black drum clam is the way to go. Andy at Riptide Bait and Tackle said it was a Riptide rodder that worked for Chip and Jack Huber here, who went down to the jetty in Brigantine and found a striper and a drum over the weekend. We're getting more and more drum reports from that stretch. Brigantine, Long Beach Island, even up into Seaside. And I am sure that there are more black drum behind that stretch in parts of Barnegat Bay, but especially Absecon and the Great Bay area. I hope you've got a charter already booked in Delaware, on the Delaware Bay, whether it's out of Lewis or Cape May. May and June, drum time on Delaware Bay, and the amount of drum that we have, those smaller puppy drum, dinner-sized drum in the south central portion of the state, bodes very well for what's coming up ahead of us for that spring fishery on Delaware Bay. Both sides of the bay, like I said. Really good striped bass reports right now coming in Ocean County, Southern Ocean County in particular. That started last week, while I was gone. The folks at Jingles and Beach Haven weighed in an 18.12-pound striper for Pat Gallen in the Spring Derby, and that was taken on salted clam, 37.9 inches. Long and lean that fish was. North of LBI along the Island Beach stretch, Seaside, a few drum and of course those stripers falling for clam, salted or fresh, especially in some of these roiled waters. You know, when you've got heavy seas and things are shaking up and down, clam is a great bet. Heavy sinker in close when those fish are in there picking up pieces after a storm. Chris Pitcher checked in while I was out of the country. Let me know about a 36.5-incher he had on Saturday, one of 11 fish caught on bait. This one is 17.5 pounds, but he released fish that were a little bit bigger than that as well. And that cinder worm spawn I talked about a couple of weeks ago with the full moon, that blossomed while I was gone too. I got the should have been here yesterday texts. I was able to get out on Tuesday and enjoyed that in a local creek. Again, look for that at times of the new moon and the full moon, but this time they fooled me. They baffled me. Those cinder worms were spawning and stripers were rolling and splashing in the back when it wasn't even a moon. Anyway, listen, I've probably gone on too long as it is this week, and you wouldn't believe the amount of photos I received via email, text, social media. So definitely the 2022 season is on, and it's time. Really, we should all just close up our laptops, get away from work at some point and wet a line. My pre-forecast forecast for next week, a bluefish massacre, and also the first solid weak fish reports of the year. That's what I'm calling for next week's video. Plus, we'll run through the opening days of the expected 2022 summer flounder season, expected to start in New Jersey on Monday. Sign the papers, Phil. Sign the papers. For that full complement of fishing reports, as I talked about, it's loaded. They're all in here. The Fisherman magazine. Pick it up at your favorite tackle shop, Marina, Wawa, Quick Check. If you can't find it, join the thousands of other Fisherman magazine subscribers who get that edition delivered to their door every month when it arrives. It's just $29.95. And as our publisher, Mike Caruso, explains, you got to be in it to win it if you're talking about a Steiger 23. Catch them up. We'll see you again next week.